Welcome, everybody, to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G, and as always, we're going to be digging into the topics that keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, get an ice cold beverage, and get ready to join the conversation. Yes, we're going to have an awesome show tonight here at the Late Night Calling Show. Once again, right here at the Social Dig, even though that says after hours, that's where we just came from. And we will be doing that again tomorrow night. So make sure you go over to Spaced Out Radio so you can go ahead and take a part of that. But tonight, we're going to be hearing from people like yourself. This is the Late Night Calling Show. That means call in. That means you guys call on in and talk to us tonight. We're going to have an awesome show. We're going to have, let's see. Let me go ahead and bring up some information, actually, that we can kind of look at and go over. The live call-in line, which is 856-843-3444. That's 856-THE-DIGG. I will also be putting the link in the chat here in just a moment where you can come on stage and actually have the conversation on stage with everyone. Should be an awesome thing. I'm going to make sure that we do that as well. Want to thank everybody for coming in. See who has come in actually tonight. As we go back and check, we have, let's go back. Okay, we have Magneticus Attractus. Rob loves moving the goalposts. I know, definitely. Thanks for coming in, Magneticus. Kira, I am. Thanks for coming on in, Kira. LVL, Lovey Love, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. Deb from Sacramento, thanks for coming in. Richard Minnick saying, where the F is Rob? Man, I had to kind of wet my whistle between shows. It just was on for 3 hours, and now we're going to go on for a little bit longer here. Richard Minnick, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. Let's see, who else? Area 51 is in the building. Thanks for coming on in, Juan. Long time no see, buddy. We got Bomber in the building. Appreciate you coming on in. As we get into a great conversation tonight, it is spooky season. Yes, it is. I said Dr. Love, but we'll say it again. Dr. Love, thanks for coming on in. Let's see, getting down the list here. Ange is in the building. I see Ange saying, hey, everyone. Hey, Ange, thanks for coming on in tonight and joining the conversation. The Ferret is here as well. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up. Nikki is here. Angels of Life. Thanks for coming in, Nikki. Welcome to the show. Where's the G? The G is right here. We're ready to go. We're ready to do this tonight and get this thing going. JSCO 77. Howdy. Hey, thanks for coming on in. So Mothman is here for sure. Let's see. Who else? Flat Six is here, and Joanne is here as well, as we made it to the bottom of the list here. Thanks everybody for coming on into the Social Dig Late Night Calling Show. I was always finna call it Spaced Out Radio After Hours, right? Pre-programmed to do that. We're gonna have an awesome show tonight here. Let me go ahead and bring in our special guest as well that'll be joining us. You asked for him and he's here. Drew Banky has shown on up. We were having a great conversation. It's kind of actually what took me a little longer than normal because we were having a great after the show conversation about some really heavy stuff, and we could probably continue that here. Hey, Drew, welcome to the Social Dig, sir.
How was it going?
Yeah, been doing good, man. Been doing good. Lil Cam 51 is present from Twitch. Hey, Lil Cam 51. Appreciate you showing on up. And if you want to, Drew, you can go ahead and kind of talk to the audience for a minute because I got to put the link to join the stage in the chat, and that'll take a moment. So if you want to just say what we were talking about or whatever you want to do, it's on you.
Ancient Egypt and the connection to the stars. And that's something that keeps coming up more and more on my mind. But let's open up that conversation. I love to hear other people's thoughts, like their experiences with memories or dreams of ancient Egypt. Let's start with that. And also this is Halloween, so you're just talking about doing Halloween stories. Let's do Halloween stories. But if it connects to ancient Egypt too, like all the better. Like let's bring it all together. I'm gonna send I'm gonna send Rob a picture. This is pretty funny.
All right. And let me see. I'm actually adding the link to the chat here, guys. Call in chat link
I
is right here.
I send it on. Is it easier on Facebook or texting you, Rob?
Facebook.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So that is in the chat. Let me pin that message here to the top of the chat, which I did. All right. So the link is up there. It's in the chat, and you guys can definitely join the conversation at any time. Last show we did here, we had Brown Dwarf join us on the stage. We had Maggie M10, one of our membership members, actually came up on stage as well and talked. And actually, I have to need to bring that stuff up real quick here. We had, let's see, which one is this? That show. All right, let me bring this one up here.
And follow me on social, guys. Show some love. I'm a pretty cool guy.
Memberships are available. Drew Banky's a cool guy. You guys know that, right? Definitely. No, Maggie M10 is not here tonight. She said that she would be out for a little bit. She'll be back with us after a few weeks. She's dealing with some personal stuff, and we will be awaiting her return. But she is a member. She joined the membership, as we have here listed on the screen. Memberships are available at the Social Dig. Become a social soldier today. You can do that at any time. It's not required. However, it does go, any membership dues or anything that comes into the Social Dig goes to making sure that we put on a better show for you. Because I want this to be a really great produced place to come, right? There's so many ideas that I have, so many directions we can go. I want to get out there in the field. I want to get out there and go to some of these UFO conventions and represent the brand there. Also, go to some of the historical spots like Roswell and, some of the places that we always talk about. Area 51. That's top on the list, actually. I'm due to go back because I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. But for places like that, right? Because I have some ideas for some shows that we can do that would be on location out at other places, and then also pre-recorded content that we could hire an editor to go ahead and edit and do things like that. So any super chats that come to this channel, super thanks, those are all open. Cash apps, memberships, any of those things go to making this channel the best channel that it could be. So any support is helpful, but not necessarily needed, right? You'll still get content for free here, period. But it would definitely go a long way to help the channel. We'd appreciate it here. So with that being said, also we have the social shop. So if you notice you came to the channel, you should have seen the shop being advertised below the screen, where we have a lot of great Social Dig gear there that you can go ahead and take advantage of. These hoodies are nice. The My Experience unisex hoodies with the Social Dig logos on the back. You can access that at any time as well. And represent, right? Be out there representing the Social Dig like you should. And we have cups, mugs, all sorts of things there. And this is from the show the other day, but I wanted to also show this slide because these are the shows that we have on this channel. We have the Social Dig, the normal show, which you see on the left. That one normally airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. It's a lot that goes into that show, a lot of pre-show stuff, research, script outlines and things of that nature that I have to put together for that. And we also have My Experience with the Phenomena show, which Drew was on, shared his spirit horse experiences. We had Jim White on there recently as well. Came on and talked about Bigfoot experiences within ceremonies with the natives. Great show as well. And then the show you're at right now, which is the late night call-in show, which is definitely Saturdays right after the after hours show, Saturdays 11:30. you give me like 20 minutes so I can wet my whistle and kind of get over here and get ready to do another couple hours. So I'd appreciate any support. If you miss any of these shows, we have archives here that are totally free as well. You can jump into those. The Social Dig as a whole season one with a lot of great topics, tough conversations too that move the needle. So definitely appreciate any support you guys give in doing this here. So with that being said, we do appreciate you. And Joanne is a new member, and I do want to thank Ann Joanne for doing that. Normally we give a round of applause, and I want to make sure we do that now. So give me just a second here. So we can properly welcome Ann Joanne as one of the newest members to the Social Dig, Social Soldiers. We appreciate you. And I think I have it right here. Oh, wrong channel. Hold on.
You want me to do a dance? I do a dance to make it right.
Yeah, you go ahead and do a dance. That'll be the bonus.
Appreciate it.
There we go. There we go.
Thanks
And
for
here we
helping
go.
out my boy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, Joanne.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Joanne, thank you so much for becoming a member here at the Social Dig. The members' name tags will also be shown on the front page of the page. And I'm trying to think of some good stuff to be able to give members. But I just want you to know that anything that you can help with on this channel is appreciated. And yeah, I just appreciate you believing in what we're doing and helping to get this content out there to others, man, because we have a long road to go. And thank you, Ann Joanne. We do appreciate that as well. With that being said, Drew, we were talking about the ancient Egypt thing. So go ahead and get that started, and I'll jump in with you as well.
Yeah. So ancient Egypt, I already seen a comment in there from Ange in the chat about Orion's belt. So the connection to Orion's belt. But as you were talking, it brings up another thing we can jump into is, have you ever heard of Blythe, California?
Oh yeah, I'm not too far from it. Yep.
So the petroglyphs or pictographs are
Yes.
on the ground. We could bring up pictures of that and look at it. Like the connection to the stars, like I've talked about several times over on SOR about the connection to the stars and Native American beliefs and indigenous beliefs, but ultimately it's not just the beliefs of indigenous, it's our connection to the stars. And like the connection between ancient Egypt is a conversation that we can dig into. I would love to hear people's input. If someone wants to, it's up to you. This is your show, but like if someone wants to call in and bring up their thoughts on ancient Egypt, it is something that fascinates me, and I know fascinates a lot of other people. I'm sure we have some interest in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, and I want to know because we were talking to how we got to talking about this after the shows, because talking about how we like to have conversations that move the needle, and different people that we bring on that allow us to do that. And we got to discussing Billy Carson's name, right? So Billy Carson is someone who speaks on the tablets and is someone that I would love to have a conversation with. Actually, I don't know how you guys feel about on that. If you want to see Billy Carson come on the show and have a conversation over at the after hours, put ones in the chat. Just want to see, kind of gauge where the thought process is on that. Who would appreciate a conversation with Billy Carson over on the after hours? Anyone out there? And we'll give it a second, because I know the chat is it's kind of slow here. Yeah, yeah.
Got a lot of ones.
Got some ones.
Deb from Sack says heck no.
Says
I mean
no.
no, but no. She
Yep.
said no. I saw heck no, but
Yeah. I mean, and there's I
There's-
understand why she says no.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, for sexist. With their Area 51 says zero. I mean, the thing is, right, is that just no easy questions for him. Yeah, yeah, no, none of that. You know what type of conversation we like to have, right? Ones that move the needle. So I just want to make sure that having him on there for one to be something that people are interested in doing, and then for two, I intend on having a different conversation with them, right? So, um, yeah, StreamYard link. Welcome to the show is at the top of the chat, so you can click on that and join the stage at any time. And yeah, 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 you could definitely do that. We're waiting on anybody to come and join us. It'd be awesome. Yeah, so we do this every
Let's
week.
do this.
We do this every week,
I'll
and
be right back in just a second.
yeah, yeah, take your time. And as we wait for Drew Banky to come back here, I'll drop him off stage for a minute while I talk to you guys. So yeah, I'm just trying to gauge, right, because I want to make sure when we do bring guests on that we're having guests that that the conversation kind of exercises the mind and allows you to walk away from the conversation feeling like you've gained something, right? That's the big thing, and kind of what we want to do and what we want to try to take away from that. um yeah, can't see the link. Welcome to the show says I'm on iOS iPhone 11. Yeah, I don't know. Welcome to the show. Try going open your browser. Try going through your browser instead of YouTube app. It should be at the top of the YouTube app chat. If you don't see it there, go through your browser and go to youtube.com, go to the show there, and you should see it. It should be pinned at the top. Because we have a person in the back already ready to join us here. And let's make this a thing. Let's get as many people as possible. Yep, that's a link there, Bomber. Welcome to the show. If you see that link that the Bomber just posted, that one should work as well. UFO Tim James in the building saying, heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Tim James. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for joining us as we get ready to get into a great conversation and maybe some spooky talk. I know some people wanted to do some Halloween themed stuff, and we can get into doing that. Some people want to tell some spooky Halloween encounters. We'll get into that too. So yeah, yeah. And if you're out there in lurker land, definitely consider, if you haven't already, which you may have already done, consider hitting that subscribe button and coming back to join us on the other shows that we do. Appreciate you, Tim James. Loving the show. And yeah, yeah. And Tim James, you're definitely always welcome to hop on the stage at any time, buddy. Just know that. So if you have anything you want to add to any of the conversations that you're hearing, definitely we want you to do that. And let me see. Let me get this out the way so I can bring our guest up here. Oh, that's a good question. I have no clue, Deb. Seems like you know the answer, though. So maybe you'll let us know. Well, let me go ahead and bring in everyone who's here so far, which would be myself, obviously, Drew Banky, obviously, and then Magneticus Attractus. Magneticus, long time, buddy. How you
Oh,
been?
am I on now? Ah, I am on now.
You are on now, man. You are on now. Just
You
appreciate
almost said my name like K Reno does it. Man, he's going
Magneticus.
Magneticus Attractus. Because
Yeah.
on K Reno's channel, it's me and Phantom Face Final. I don't even know who this guy is, but K Reno always has us like battling out. So it's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
it is Magneticus, who is Gotta say, man, day one supporter, man. Magneticus followed us from over, will follow me and Mateo, rather, my
From
old
Roderick.
co-host, from Roderick Martin. Why the Big Secret? We had done some work over there with Rod and actually Billy Carson on a couple of different shows. But since I've had my own, yeah, there you go. I still have some of my Why the Big Secret stuff, and I still um and I had the opportunity to kind of talk to Billy a couple times, but I would love to have him under this new format and what we're doing here. So I think it'd be pretty awesome to do.
I know I disagree with him on some things, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I said that too. I mean, there's definitely some things to ask questions about for sure. 'Cause
Right?
I was talking to Drew about this, having in depth from fact there technically is no time limit. However, anyone that comes on stage, we just ask to be mindful of the other people on the stage and kind of allow everyone to have time to speak. And so we'll be doing some of that as we get another guest added to the stage here, who is Area 51. So now we got 4 people up here. Hey Juan, how you been, man? How you been doing?
Doing well. How have you guys been?
Been doing good, man. I'm glad to see you, dude. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
glad to see you around and kind of, sometimes you have to disconnect from the subject sometimes and kind of just sit back. And I know that because I've had to do that myself too. And it's
It
healthy to
wasn't
do that.
really a disconnect. It was more of I just couldn't do the nights anymore.
Yeah, that part too. That
was the tough one.
That's different. And that's what's also different here because obviously we have to do it late over there on Space Out Radio because of the radio side. But on this channel here, normally the shows that we do here, we do at 5 p.m. Pacific on so the social dig on Wednesdays is at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then, the my experience with the Phenomena on Fridays at 5 p.m. as well.
Okay, awesome. I just want to say hi to Drew and Magneticus.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's up, Juanito?
Hey. It's nice to meet you, Drew. It's the first time I've talked to Drew. Doing good.
Nice to meet you. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Excited. It's a good topic today.
Yeah. How do you so Billy Carson, right? So I want to talk to him, I really do, because I think just like you said, there's some things that you may not agree with, and I can understand that because there are certain things that I would have questions about, clarification on some of the things that are being said, because I was telling this to Drew before we came on tonight, is that when we talk about anything historical, if we're going way back in the day, thousands of years ago, when we start putting numbers on things like that, specific numbers, time frames, and we start saying things that are so matter of fact about something that happened a million years ago, that's where I kind of get with the problem. Just like I was telling Drew, they say that this universe has been around for 13.8 billion years ago, and I'm like, okay, that's probably the wrong number, at the end of the day. And I think we should probably just say the universe started hella long ago.
Right.
Because it didn't happen yesterday. It happened a really long time ago, but we don't have to put a specific number on it because I think that's when we start getting further away from the truth. Could it be true? 13.8 billion? Maybe. Maybe not.
No, it's closer to 13.9.
You know what I mean? And that's the tip for tat you can kind of run into when you when you try to go back and date something and come with such a specific number. And that's, I see a lot of that.
I know the actual number. It's you got to carry the one.
Exactly. Carry the one. Divided by pi.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff. But that's
Here, I know exactly who we should ask.
Who's that?
Terrence Howard. He knows.
Terrence Howard? I don't,
Terrence Howard has that's a whole nother show topic right there. That's
it
start digging
is.
into that.
I know, I'm kidding.
But
Um,
I'll tell you what. Yeah, go ahead, Juan.
I was just gonna say, I changed my view on Billy Carson when he did the Joe Rogan podcast, and then he also hopped on Andrew Schultz,
Mm-hmm. And what?
and they were. I mean, he's interesting to talk to. You can tell. I mean,
Yeah,
he brings the heat.
yeah, yeah. I can agree with you there. And there are definitely some things that he said that I've heard that I feel like, okay, that makes sense. I walk away from it like I can see the value in that and what was said. And but then, just like everyone else, there's always going to be questions because I think Billy's thing is he comes from a teacher perspective where he talks to an audience, and then because he does it in that style, then a lot of people look at it as he's being matter of fact on the things that he's saying. Like he's saying these things and stating that these things are true. But I think he questions some of the stuff as well. And I think if you get him in a different sort of conversation, then you will kind of start to see that yeah, he agrees that this might not be, but this is what he heard, or this is what was written, or and you kind of are able to flesh out the things that he's saying. That's why I'm looking forward to having a conversation with them, because I think maybe we could get something different out of just the normal presentation
Definitely.
from a Billy Carson.
Right.
I will say this, like about Billy, like when my son Hawk was born, he was born early. A lot of people has been following me for a while know this. He was born like I think it was like 6 weeks early or whatever. But we was in the hospital for a while. He was 2 pounds, so we was in the no, he was 12 weeks early. Yeah, it was 28. It's like 28 or 29 weeks when my wife gave birth. So he was only 2 pounds. One of the very first people to send us money was as a donation for everything was Billy, like
Oh, nice.
from his personal account. So that's I can say that
I don't dislike him as a person.
whether everything he says is
It would be unfair.
on point or whatever, who knows, but that's a personal experience that I had with him that I can say
There you go.
says a lot about his character.
Definitely.
He's a very good dude, very good, very down to earth, and yeah, Billy was one of the very first people to send us donate money to us. So
Yeah,
Nice.
that's awesome.
Hey, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure too. That's shows a person with a good heart and
Mhm.
cares about other people, and that's kind of what this really is all about. I mean, that's what we try to get together when we have these conversations of people that care about other people. Period, just genuinely.
yeah,
And that's one reason I'll talk about Dave on this. That's one reason that I love Dave Scott, because I know he's a person that cares about other people. And I like being around those people. They say surround yourself with people who can make you better, right? And that's what I strive to do. And that's why I keep the group of friends, including Area 51 and Magneticus Attractus and Deb from
Yeah.
Maggie M10 and Bomber, everybody that's here in the chat, because we're all like-minded people. We all care about people, and we care about where the conversation takes us, and we care about how that affects our grandkids when we're long gone, when we're dusty underground somewhere. Our conversations will have done something good for everyone else, which I think is an awesome thing. Every time I think about that, it just makes me glad that I do what I do. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, just like Billy helping out in a situation where it just showed his heart and compassion. Yeah, I walk away with feeling from something
Mhm.
like
Yeah, me being critical of someone's beliefs doesn't necessarily change because I don't know the guy, But hearing something like Drew just shared, obviously it's going to open someone's eyes and see a much bigger picture of who the person is.
Sure.
True.
Yeah.
So thank you again for sharing.
Yeah.
True.
For sure.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. People are going to be critical, and I want to make sure Deb from SAC, her voice is heard. And Deb, you can join the stage at any time. But I'm gonna bring up the comment because I know and with Deb has talked about this before, and she looks at the grift side of this potentially, and there are grifters out there. There are for sure, and yes, we should call those people out if that's their main purpose. But I think I can say this. I think I can say that we've talked about people making money off of this subject, off of this topic, and if we're just not talking about a specific person, if we're just talking about someone cashing in on ufology, I think it's okay as long as you are not withholding information. If you're not saying, if you're saying give me money and then I'll tell you this, that's where I have a problem. That's where the problem lies for me, because
I agree.
just like on here on this channel, there have been people over the year that we've been on this channel here, and they've said, man, how can we find a way to donate or give to the channel? And I'm like, hey, you know what, I'm not even in that mindset. Let's have these conversations and let's get this thing moving. Whatever happens, happens. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we've made it to a point to where we can monetize the channel. So, and I make it pretty clear that, being a member doesn't give you things that other people don't get. Everyone gets the same thing. Everyone gets access to every conversation we have, period, regardless if you're a member or not. The memberships help do things like pay subscriptions for us to be here tonight or to do different things like that. So I can understand where, you have to have some sort of incoming revenue in order to be able to still talk to people or spread the word, because it just doesn't happen for free. Unfortunately, time does equal money. And, but when you start putting paywalls on things, that's where I have the problem. And there are definitely people in this field that will tell you this, but you got to find out the rest when you buy my book, or you got to become a member, and then you can have access to this other conversation that we're going to do over here. You know what I mean? When you start doing stuff like that in this field, now for other fields it may work, but when we're talking about enlightenment and consciousness, the raising of your vibrations and frequencies and things like that, that's stuff that you get and do for free. Meditation and just connecting with yourself and all that stuff. How can someone charge for something like that? That's where the grifters come in. And if you just take that rule alone, you can look around and see who the grifters are. Now, has Billy done that? I don't know. I don't know if you could point, maybe he has, but I can tell you that he gives a lot of stuff for free. I can tell you he sits up and talks for, hours at a time for absolutely no money at all. And,
Yeah, I'll say that too,
and
because I went to Tubi, which is like a free movie site. I mean, you have to deal with ads, but a lot of his stuff and content is on there too that you would normally not find.
yeah, exactly. And it's just a contribution to the movement and the conversation and moving the needle. That's what I'm all about, man. Like I
Yeah.
said, everybody wants to get down on people who want to try to cash in on something. There's rules to if it's grifting or not, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
I get it. It's especially Billy lives a pretty nice lifestyle, and that rubs people the wrong way sometimes. Is he a con man? Who knows? Deb seemed to have a pretty strong opinion about it, but me personally, I get good vibes from him. The times I did have him on, he was on my old channel, the Eagles Nest podcast, back when I had dreads on and stuff, and we talked about ancient Egypt. So that's ultimately that's what we're talking about is ancient Egypt. Billy's part of that conversation, but I would love to try to shift it away from the Billy itself type of thing, because I hate we talk about long enough, and eventually, the conversation is gonna go south. But
Worse.
let's talk about Egypt. Like who, I was talking to Robin in between the two shows about the connection between Orion's belt, the pyramids in Egypt, and this is not just about this is about something much deeper that we need to open up about, like the connection between the stars and humanity's connection to the stars. But that connection, for me, is ancient Egypt fascinates me as connection to it. So I would love to hear other people's thoughts on it. And I know she had some talking about Orion's belt, but or spooky stories. I love to hear a
Yeah,
spooky story
no,
too.
yeah. Egypt, like I said, I think we're only at the beginnings of when I talk about Egypt or any
Right
ancient
there, Richard.
civilization. What I want to know is what about Egyptian things in the Grand Canyon? See, that's the beginning. I think we could. I think here's what I'll say. I'll say that I think we should look at the civilizations that have rose to prominence and probably some high technological level before disappearing off the face of the earth, essentially. And then, as we uncover things, I think we'll get to, yeah, we're seeing traces of them around the world and kind of those conversations happen. But I want to know what happened to them. I want to know how they could build all those things and then simply disappear from the face of the planet. That's intriguing to me because it can be a dictator or just a clue of what we might be looking forward to with our current civilization being at a point that they were, right? So we know they were there. We know they probably built the pyramids. We know they built the Sphinx, all those different things. But where did they go? What happened? The Mayas. What happened to them? Where did they go?
Yeah,
All these.
those other pyramids, the pyramids outside of Egypt, like why are they all connected? Like why do they have similarities? So like why do they have like sound chambers in a lot of them? You know, my overall question, because I don't know either. Like I'm still trying to dig through this. Like were they religious things, or were they antennas that spoke to other planets? Like, and did we use those sound chambers to magnify it? Like, you uh there's Billy talks about the gold tops on them, and there may be possibly one up underneath where the Bermuda Triangle is, and that's why the Bermuda Triangle has such a history of that effect. That is one of the only pyramids on Earth that still has its gold cap, and
Mm, mm.
the gold cap is a very important thing to direct the energy. Is it all true? Who knows? But there is an undeniable connection to existing uh, pyramid sites in South America. And there's a connection there to the pyramids in Egypt and around the world. Like they're all like on ley lines. They all connect to ley lines and things like this. That's why, getting back to the conversation we was having on the after hours show with Tony and stuff, we to move the needle, we have to start looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Not looking at just one pyramid, but looking at how this pyramid is connected to other sites.
What I want to know is why, to see for the time, obviously they're not as technologically advanced as we currently are now, but for the time they were in, they were pretty advanced in a lot of the things that they were doing. And I would want to know why each one of those civilizations disappeared off the face of the earth. What happened? Was it because the fact that those pyramids were power stations or whatever the theories are currently for what these pyramids represent? Did it have something to do with that? Was there a time where their civilizations faced what we're facing right now, which is a moment of disclosure and a fork in the road, literally, where we can go right or left? And then the decision that they made in that moment, maybe is it that they made the wrong decision and it went into the downfall of their civilization? Whereas currently, in our current situation, if we make the wrong choice on right or left on this crossroad that we're at, we could literally face the same, because obviously we know one is disclosure and enlightenment, and we know the other direction is doing what we're doing right now, which is going to war, fighting wars, build nuclear bombs, better weapons to basically annihilate most of the population that we have here on the planet. So did those past civilizations also face a crossroad with extraterrestrial presence, and they had a choice to go one way or the other way, and they chose to go the wrong way, which ended up in the demise of those civilizations? And
Maybe they chose to go off planet.
and
Maybe they
that's what I
chose to go
mean.
with them.
That's what I mean. That could be an option. That's one thing I've thought about too. Maybe they decided to go off planet, and maybe that's what happened at that time. And that could be an answer for it right there. But I think talking through that, figuring out where they went, is probably, or what happened to them is more, pertinent, or gets us further into the conversation than just looking at a petroglyph or something that we discovered over here. Okay, yeah, that might be related to that. Okay, that's going the long way, I think, to get to where we're trying to get to. Let's ask the important question, like, where did they go? Because if they were so advanced at that time, it should have increased. Or is technology the poison of life, right? Which is what these kids who had extraterrestrial visits say that they were told to telepathically from these beings, is that technology is bad and you should be staying away from it, even though we think it makes things better or makes things easier for us to do things. But maybe it's the poison, because it takes, it builds, it creates atrophy, which, now we don't physically do anything anymore. Now we just go through these apps or whatever it is that we use now that supposedly make things easier. Maybe technology takes us to a place where we don't really want to go, and maybe that's what happened to them. Maybe their the times that they were in, technology took them to somewhere they didn't want to go, or it took them off planet. That's what I would want to know. And I've talked this, I did this before, is that we chose to go back in time and could pick a time. And I think we got Major Lee in the back too. Let me bring Major Lee up. As if we could go back in time and we could pick a time, you're on stage, Major Lee, just so you know. If we could pick a time where, we could go back to in the past, and that would be one of the times I would go to, back when one of those civilizations disappeared, so I could see why it happened. You know what I mean?
I think that's a popular theory, like them ending it because of technology. I mean, it's the same kind of concept that they used for the movie Alien and Prometheus, where they were trying to build something, and then it basically killed off the what were they called? The architects or the creators? I think.
Essentially, yeah.
So you get to learn. I think if you see Prometheus, it goes in deeper, but if you have to see like the director's cut to actually get the full picture of why. Oh, the engineers. Thank you. That's what they were called. Love got it. The engineers.
Yeah.
And they basically tell the humans that they basically built this technology, which was that, and they basically wiped themselves out.
Yeah. Because if they always say, looking at the past is indicator of what happens in the future, and that's something important we should know or want to know, probably before a lot of other things, because we're in that moment right now as current humanity, where we have to make a choice if we're going to go the AI route and allow AI to do what it's going to do, or if we're going to go this route or that route. Like, we're in that moment. And I think maybe each civilization that came up and rose to prominence probably had one of those moments that they had to face and then make a decision. And maybe it was the powers that be that made the decision on the behalf of those civilizations, the pharaohs and the kings, queens of their time, that made the decisions on behalf of everyone else, which we know if we were to allow that to happen in current day and allow powers that be to make the decision on behalf of everyone else, we know how it would turn out. We'd probably disappear, or a good number of us would, because we'd probably be right into some sort of war that ends up affecting everybody adversely. So
Yeah,
any
that makes sense.
about that?
Hey, good
That
morning.
makes sense.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
using the loudspeaker there. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yep.
can hear you. You want to chime
Hey,
in?
good
Yes,
morning,
sir.
guys.
Good morning
Uh,
for you.
Yeah, just touching on the pyramid thing. I had a hypothesis that the pyramids were some kind of a bunker, some kind of bombshell for some kind of a impending disaster, whether that was an asteroid or some kind of a military, nuclear, whatever attack, and they put those in place to safeguard their origins. What do you think about that?
Bunkers. I like that. I like that being a theory there too. I like the bunker theory. I can see where that would hold value. I guess it would depend on, because they're finding new chambers and things all the time in these pyramids, new passageways, and I that's always blown my mind, just how those were designed with that in mind. So maybe beneath there's some sort of place where you could store a massive amount of people. Maybe we'll find that there are skeletal remains of maybe 1,000 people, or a large group of people that they find under one of those pyramids. That would be pretty mind blowing, and would kind of lean into that being the case.
Um,
Lee.
I've looked at a lot of the schematics of many of the pyramid sites all around the world, and if you look at them, if you put them against the local and international rocket launch sites, the demolished rocket sites. If you look at those schematics, they kind of look kind of similar to those ruins. Maybe it could have been some kind of um, structures that were built to launch humanity off the planet, um, in the face of like impending disaster. Like I say, like a meteor strike or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, what do you guys think? You want to chime in on that before I do?
I know that there's a lot more in Egypt, from what I've read, that they're still uncovering, but they're not giving anyone access to it. They're keeping the public just to what we have found already. But if you think about it, that place got buried with a lot of sand, and it did not look like that before. Back when they were alive, you had water, you had trees, you had green around the area, and now it's just complete desert. But if you go to Mexico, there's still a lot of vegetation around there. If you go to Machu Picchu, it's a different story. They're up in the mountains, so like location kind
I
of
agree.
is different.
If you look at the decommissioned rocket sites all around the world, and cross-reference them with some of the ancient sites, they do kind of have some kind of resemblance. I'm wondering if there's some kind of connection there.
Yeah, there definitely has to be a connection. I do agree with that. As to where they were built and why they were built there is what I want to know. They picked these locations for a reason, and they still hold up. I mean, we could still go. They're well built. I mean, even structures today, we can't build them like they built them. So that's another thing that puzzles me.
Nobody's trying either, so.
Yeah, you're right,
What do you
man.
say?
That no one's trying either.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I show my contraption. If you watch any of my recent videos, which were like 2 months ago, I had like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 pounds, and you barely touch it, and it goes spinning around and around. You know. Years
And
ago,
you
I
sound
bought-
pretty far back and muffled, Magneticus.
Oh, hold on a second. I have it so it's not loud because there's somebody speaking. They're trying to speak in my house. So let me. Did that help any?
Nope.
Not really.
I think you only make these kind of constructions for two purposes. They're either to take a major impact or to launch some kind of a projectile. It's either one of the two. They're either made to last a long time, to leave a message, for future people, or they may be designed to take a bomb impact, or some kind of rocket launching military structure.
Now that you say that, it makes sense to me. The protection from the outside sort of thing. I could see that. I could see that, especially with the shape of it. Like if there was, just think of like solar flare or some sort of energy being burst down onto the planet from above, in the way that would flow off of a pyramid, like it would literally disperse the energy. It would appear off of each side and kind of send it outwards. I could see that. I mean, I could see where that would make sense. I've never heard of that theory, but it makes total sense that that could be the case. And then maybe it was something they were experiencing for some time, and maybe that also played into why they eventually ended up disappearing. And that, it makes a lot of sense, Lee. I could say that.
So a few years back, I was channeling Osiris, and one of the things that come up in this channeling of Osiris was Osiris said where his body was at, where his tomb was at, and it was under the right paw of the Sphinx. And recently, they're starting to find it's starting to come out that there's underneath the paws of the Sphinx. So my belief is that Osiris's tomb is under the right paw of the Sphinx, and Isis's actual tomb where the actual bodies are, the actual physical bodies are, is under the left. And I think that they're about to uncover this, and when they find the tombs, they're gonna find a ET body in that tomb.
Oh,
Like
I've heard of that too.
an elongated ET body that's of Osiris under the right paw, Isis under the left paw. That's my prediction. That's about to happen.
Because
No,
under the
but-
Sphinx, there's an actual. They've already built under there, and they know there's something down there.
They know
And they
there's
haven't
something
given
down.
People any kind of access.
There's
Are we
there's-
talking about? Are we talking about non-biological remains?
I'm talking about remains from Osiris that are from off this planet.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I love that. I
So,
agree.
there's gatekeepers. And it's not just Billy that's been there that I've heard that's tried to get in this area where I'm talking about, but they will not let you go down these caverns. And I don't know. I know that there's some evidence that there's caverns that go down over a mile up underneath those paws. And I know that there's like the locals that are in charge of that area will not, those are off limit areas. They will not, absolutely not let you go down.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it possible that 5,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago, there was some kind of intergalactic war, and pyramids were built to protect these occupants, and within the pyramids, there's possibly non-biological
I think
remains.
I think the pyramids talk back to our home planet. I don't think we're from here. I think I was the theory of these ships that are to leave the planet. What if it's just the opposite? What if you're seeing a landing pad?
Mm-hmm.
And not a launch pad. What if you're seeing a landing pad? And that's
Absolutely, yeah. What's the Stonehenge in the UK? And you've got these circular megaliths all around the world. Maybe there was landing pads. Like an airport.
Yeah. Well, that's the ultimate question: are they launch pads or landing pads?
That's a good question.
Like, are we trying to get off the planet, or this is where we landed when we come to this planet? Because there's a lot of belief and a lot of evidence that says that we're not from this planet, and
Right.
and that's another thing, getting back to Billy, circling back to Billy, that's what he talks about. that
Hmm.
there's a lot about our rhythm, like our circadian rhythm and stuff, that's off about this planet, that's slightly off, but we're more in line with Mars. And
Yeah.
Billy's not the only one that is in that group of people that I know, or people that I've heard speak, that have a connection from humans back to Mars.
Now, for me, the one you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm just gonna remember what I remember. But I've heard the theory that we destroyed Mars and we needed to find a way to get back to another planet that we could have colonized, which would have been Earth. And to me, that seems plausible. I like that theory just because maybe the UFOs that they keep at Area 51 or whatever, or the ones that they have found. What if that's old technology that we used to get here, and we just left it out for it to just be discovered because we just didn't get rid of it? We just kind of flew here, left it, started doing our own thing, and just forgot about it. Kind of like how you sometimes forget that you'll see like an old car abandoned in the forest, kind of deal from like the 1920s, and it's rusted and just old.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, our closest, the great apes are building electron collider uh, things. Head, I forget what they're called. Hadron colliders or whatever. You know, we're a million miles away from our closest ancestors. So I do tend to think something may have intervened in the not too distant past.
And someone else also mentioned that there could have been nuclear war in Mars, and that's what probably happened because they found a certain type of chemicals that only exist after a nuclear bomb goes off here in the atmosphere. But it's so prominent over there in the atmosphere of Mars. So if you guys want to touch on that.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah. I mean, I'm hearing some good stuff here. I'm definitely hearing some things that I've never thought about. Because yeah, some people say those pyramids are charging stations. There's evidence now that maybe they were power plants and provided power. Which, okay, if the math is there and they can show that, then I can see that. But yeah, then the outside threat narrative, which we know currently, if something were to happen from above, we would be building something to, in the same fashion, might not be a pyramid, but it'd be something to protect from an outside threat. So I can see that too. If we're talking about why they disappeared and how they just disappeared overnight, that theory probably makes more sense. Especially when you hear people talk about, oh, they've been here all this time and they haven't done anything. How do you know that? I mean, they may have done something at some point in the past. Maybe the very reason why these civilizations have disappeared. Maybe there's actually multiple times where we had to defend ourselves or take hold somewhere in a bunker and kind of wait things out while the unspeakable happened on the surface of the planet. And it's technically what we could also be dealing with now. You know what I mean? And I just like to take what what's tangible and what makes most sense based on what we're going through now in this moment. If you take that and then you weigh it against past events and then take on some of the theories like what you're giving here tonight, these are conversations that make sense if we were going to try to put together a conversation about it. I think the outside threat thing makes a lot of sense. Maybe I don't know about specifically bunkers, but maybe they were used to deflect. Maybe we did. Maybe only the pharaohs were allowed to go in there, just like you have currently in current day. If an attack came from above, I can guarantee you, with the continuity of government, you're not going inside those bunkers. Those bunkers that are here now are for a select few people, and maybe that could have been the case back then, that those pyramids were
I
only
agree.
built
I
to
agree with that.
to
But
Because
to
humans still act like that.
you
We
want to
still act
hear?
like that.
Here's another interesting case of a civilization that was thriving, but it was spiritual like this. So my take on it is like something spiritual, supernatural happening. Off planet Zoom, teleported or whatever. I'm talking about the whole community or civilization. Chaco Canyon. And Chaco Canyon is deeply rooted. There's I've talked about it several times in my one on the big interviews or one-on-one interviews I do. But Chaco Canyon has several petroglyphs like this that have the Fibonacci sequence in it. That's at Chaco Canyon. But that's Chaco Canyon is another example of a civilization that was thriving, and all of a sudden they were just gone.
I see that symbol a lot.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it in 5 different petroglyph sites. I've seen it in dreams. I know and I know what the energy looks like from the exercise I do with the pendulums on your hands. That signifies energy, and that's there to remind us this is our ancestors, past, present, or future, carving something in a rock, saying, "Okay, someone needs to remember this one day." And that's why you see it in multiple different sites all over the world. You see it in petroglyphs in Egypt. But it's all over Chaco Canyon. But Chaco Canyon is a civilization that was there and then it was gone. All evidence of it was there. All of a sudden it was gone. I got several pictures there, and they're on my Facebook that there's anomalies in the picture, like orbs in the picture, things like that that I took when I went and visited there. And mind you, if anyone's heard my account of the face-to-face encounter, I had a face-to-face encounter after my visit to Chaco Canyon. The only time I've ever had anything like that happen face-to-face with what I consider ET.
Well, I think there's a lot of evidence that can point to some of this stuff. We just know, all we know is that for sure is that there were some civilizations that reached a certain level of advancement and then they disappeared. And it's a recurring theme throughout history, it appears to be. And so if that's the case, it's just you got to ask yourself, are we dealing with that in this moment right now? And if it is the case, then that's why it's even more important that we make the right decision, or that we go the right way. Maybe they don't like dictatorships. You know what I mean? Maybe they see a group of people controlling over the rest of the population and they don't agree with that sort of hierarchy. Right. They don't agree with that. And
if I can just touch back on the pyramid thing, we have a handful of cases of priests and priestesses being found and tombs being found. But what are all the graves full of people that built the pyramids? I don't see any much data for that, unless I'm mistaken.
They might be the bricks.
Right?
I don't know.
And that's the thing. Maybe, I don't know if it's extraterrestrial that did that or not. I think maybe it's Magneticus. If you were chiming in, we could barely hear you back there.
Okay, hold on. I need to switch my phones off.
So those stones are huge, right? But they showed something I saw on social media recently. I don't know if it was a fake video. It didn't seem to be fake, but they were showing how they moved those Easter Island statues, those huge statues, how they were able to move those. They had people moving them with ropes. They had ropes on both sides, and they were kind of walking the stone to its destination with one rope pulling, the other rope pulling, and like legs lifting up off the ground.
Weeble wobble.
And weeble wobbling essentially to its destination. They're saying this is how that was done. And I'm like, okay, maybe they're beginning to uncover methods that may have been used to move things that we're looking at as yeah, you can't just pick this thing up and lift it and carry it. But maybe
What,
you weeble
what,
wobble.
Look at
what,
look at what I was saying about the copper pipe and drilling holes in rocks.
what are the remains of all the people who built the pyramids?
There's people.
The
There's remains
limestone.
of people. There's
They're in the
remains
limestone.
buried. If have you ever watched Expedition Unknown? Josh Gates actually goes out to Egypt and uncovers some of the graves with the people if there are locals there. So they buried their people the same way that maybe not in sarcophagus like fancy ones, but they did bury them.
Yeah, so there's a 50, 100, 200, 300, maybe 500 graves uncovered. I think there would have been more people needed to build them structures.
Yeah,
Maybe some people just
Like the
migrated.
fire.
either that or if you look at like cremation, right? Maybe cremation was a thing back then
Yeah.
because that's essentially what makes up for our bodies not being discovered in current day. It's just what makes sense, and we know fire was available back then, so it's very possible.
Yeah.
that practice.
Got to kind of consider everything. You got to
here's my
consider them
question.
being slaves and being moved out of place. Maybe people probably just leaving, migrating, going on different journeys, colonization. Maybe there's not a significant amount of tombs because of that, because you don't see that. You see some of it in Mexico, but to touch back on what Drew was talking about, Chaco, what was it called? Chaco
Canyon.
Chaco Canyon.
Yeah, Chaco Canyon. Yeah, you don't really see graves out there, or I don't think they've uncovered bones because it's said that the people just kind of left.
Yeah, they don't know what happened, and the time frame that's in there is a very, very short time frame. It's only a matter of only a couple of years that it went from nothing to no evidence at all. You know, it's almost like they just disappeared.
Yeah, so it's kind
And-
of like modern construction.
And the
People
Kiva
move
structures
in.
are connected to
People move in on modern construction, build these structures, and then leave. Is that the case?
The well runs dry and they move away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also there's the other facet to it, like I was just saying, that the Kiva structures are connected to constellations, just like
Yep.
Egypt. And the overall question that I have is, how and why is the connection to the main pyramid, the Great Pyramid, and the other two pyramids? Why and how is there a connection to Orion's belt?
I've got some doubts about that connection. I think it's open to debate.
I would love to hear him.
Well, those pyramids or structures in Chaco Canyon are built around the celestial, like our sun, and they all have a resemblance towards the stars. So they knew how to build things through, I guess, looking up into the stars and using
Charting the
astronaut.
stars.
Yeah,
I think from the limited research I've done on it, when you take into account precession of the stars and that, and the alignment of the pyramids in Giza, you'd have to flip the alignment for it to align. And
that usually happens during each season. The world kind of tilts every year. You'd be able to do it. That's
Look
what you
at
only see
Coral Castle in Florida. There's a prime example. You hit a sundial, it tells you what day of the month it is, what time it is, and the little guy moved all these big heavy ass rocks all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, nobody's doing it. And you look at things like the limestone, or not the limestone, but it's a type of limestone that he used. You can use something like simple as vinegar, right? Vinegar. Put vinegar in a bottle, it'll dissolve right through the rock. So, and I know you can use electric shock to, cause the rock to fracture along the lines. So, and these days it's called EDM. You just take a brass rod and you can cut all sorts of crazy stuff and materials. It's not even funny.
Yeah. And I think some of it leans into lost methods and techniques, things of that nature. Because there's you can I'm sure salute President Zaddy, and also Zaddy. I just want you to know, check to see if you were blocked over there on Space Out Radio. I didn't see you blocked there, man, so you should be good to go over there. Just want to let you know that while I see you here. But yeah, just thinking back on like lost technology, lost method.
Baghdad battery.
So
there's another one.
Here's an idea, right? So you have OGs, right? OGs can tell you how to get a nut off a broken nut out of a hole, whereas with some random method that you didn't even think of, it was the old school way of thinking that allowed that person to have to have that method, like DIYs, things of that nature, where these little tricks that people have come up with that used over time, that we forget how to do those things. We just forget those things because we moved on to something else. So maybe there's a lot of that going on when it comes to, like Magneticus is saying, cutting stones and moving things, and maybe it's just different methods that we've just forgotten how to use in this current day. We're not even in the mindset to
Can you see that?
I've seen videos on YouTube where guys are cutting stone with solar power. They're using lenses to magnify heat, and they're using it to cut stones.
Yeah, but to me, just cutting stone doesn't really
See the white
matter
marks?
to me. If you cut stone, you're just cutting stone, but you're not building anything. The proof is to
Yeah,
build
but
it.
the thing
And to
is
move
when
it.
you cut it with electricity, you can put all the pieces back together the way they were cut. So if I find all my pieces here, which that one's a big piece, so that probably goes right there. And that's a small piece like that one right there. I think. Nope, put them in the wrong order. That one goes over there. Boom. And then boom. Those all go right back to piece, right in the pieces they came from. Just like that.
Well, if you could fuse them together in some way using some lenses and heat
Talk
from
to
the sun,
Mortimer the
like solar
Mortician if I
lenses,
can get some
you,
human
you,
ash from the crematorium, and
you'd
I'll
have
make you
like
some cement.
you'd have like a seamless joint, which we're seeing in a lot of these megalithic sites.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? And that's why we have these conversations, because that all makes sense, man. I'm learning some
I
stuff
don't have
here.
that stuck on there anymore.
I'm
I get
learning
cutting the stones and putting them back together, but I mean, these are perfectly cut and put back together.
Okay,
Without,
that's
and
where
then you would be able to move them. I mean, if they were so easy to move, I can go and pick up one of the pieces that was cut and pull them out.
Can we put this back up on here, Rob, so I can show this doodad going on? My simple webbing contraption here. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to push this lever, and you'll notice the chisel out there is going to hit the same place every time. Now, if I connect what's sitting on this rack down here, the square down here, if I suspend the rock, which will make it insulated, and I connect it to a ground plate, and then I hook a hot wire to my chisel, what do you think's going to happen every time my chisel hits that rock? You're going to get a spark. And I'll guarantee you it'll cut the rock a lot faster than hitting with just a hammer.
Yeah, if anyone knows who's just tuning in, Magneticus is our resident
Mad scientist.
mad scientist, genius, all that stuff. He's gonna build us a time machine at some point. We're still waiting on that. He keeps pointing to his watch, but we're talking about an actual time machine.
Pointing to a watch. Yeah, I'm pointing to the watch. All right, here you go. Watch.
So that's the thing. But no, Magneticus, and that's why I love having him in here, because he just showed a method right there that's primitive.
So Magneticus, how difficult would that be to do a few thousand years ago?
With the electricity? Now, how many
well,
Baghdad batteries are you going to give me to use?
well, I'm kind of touching on the solar kind of some kind of linkage with that. Is that something I think that's something we could have done. I think you're touching on something there. That's yeah.
Put the
I'm sure.
solar where it can be in the. Hold on, I need to remove this part right. Oh gosh. Oh crap. Hold on. Got to stay down. Oh, get out of there. Oh, sorry. That's heavy.
Who's on, Rob? Who's on tomorrow night?
If you got somebody, let me know.
Get Jim to Goodall. I love Jim Goodall.
Jim's a good one.
So, anyways, like I said, bunch of weight, solar panel. Put the fan on there. The whole contraption spins.
So ancient Egyptians had this technology back then.
Well, they obviously had some way to cut those stones with precision. And
I think they may have had some basic technology, kind of what.
I think that's what Major Lee's trying to get to. Is did they have this? What you have?
okay, we'll explain the vertification that happens from the nuclear blast.
Yeah, I think what he's really trying to say is that is a model like you have here. Could there have been a model that they could have used similar to this back then? I would probably say yes.
On a very basic level, maybe they just stumbled upon this method. Because they were touching on different technologies, and they were touching on using electricity. Maybe they stumbled on this, and it was a way to construct these megaliths. I'm not sure.
How old is the oldest kite in history right now? Who has the invention of the kite? Who came up with it?
I have no clue. Fill us in.
Well,
I know they go back in history in India, that's for sure. China uses them.
Who did come up with it? I mean, there's a lot of references to ancient Egypt with electric and electrolysis and electromagnetic plating and things like that. Maybe they could have used something like that to carve the stones.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know from like, somewhere they dogfight the kites. I want to say India, but I may be wrong. It's somewhere in that area though. But what they do is they dip the lines in wax, hot wax, and then diamond dust or broken glass shards and stuff like that to actually cut the opponent's lines. So, that's another way to do it. I took a guitar string and was trying to cut a rock with it, just dragging it back and forth with a water clock, Egyptian water clock or something. I don't know what to call it.
Are you guys familiar with the pottery that's currently being looked at, which is being manufactured within micrometers and unbelievable dimensions?
Which place was that?
Yeah, sorry. This pottery that's been unveiled and it's currently being researched now, and it's within micrometers of it's within thousands and thousands of an inch of being circular and precise.
Yes, that's almost like the Puma Punku or something along those lines.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so where they were able to have, precision cuts, angles, 90-degree angles, and even as Major Lee is talking about, just the symmetry of the pottery being, almost machine made as far as the precision.
Maybe it was.
Right. And that's
it's unbelievably accurate. I mean, we've struggled to make it today, and that pottery is there, from uh, uh, antiquity, and it's made within microns of accuracy. I mean, how did they do that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's obviously a piece of the puzzle that we still don't have, but it all points to some sort of technological advancement, and that's the thing. That's what brings us back to the beginning of the conversation. It's like we can almost guarantee that we had some sort of level of advancement that was, pretty high. And then the question is, okay, so then what happened
Don't
next?
go.
Like we pretty much know these things, but then what happened? Like then what happened next? Like that's really the question that we should be getting to or trying to figure out, because we know of all these other things. We know that the precision was there. We know they cut these large stones. We know somehow they moved them into place. But where did they go? Because that would probably answer the previous questions, right? It'd probably answer the smaller questions that we have about that time period and how they were able to do such amazing things.
Yeah, yeah,
Working
yeah.
back.
I'm talking about the pottery that is manufactured internally and externally within microns of accuracy.
Yeah.
I think what he's trying to touch on is that the same kind of, for everything that they built, like made, like the pottery, the same tool was used to make those carvings on them. Am I right? And
No,
they didn't have any deviations as far as like how.
yeah, these potteries are manufactured within microns of
Mhm.
accuracy, um, um, and we would internally and externally we'd struggle to make them today.
Yeah, I
Because
could agree.
we just don't use the same techniques.
Yeah, it's just about this rediscovering what it was. I don't know how we do that. I don't know. I mean, maybe we have someone like Magneticus who continues to do experiments like he does, and maybe that connects some dots for us, or ends up being part of the conversation that helps us figure that out. But I don't know. I know for sure that we had something that did it, and I think we could all agree on that. But what it was, I just, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I have no clue. I have no clue.
Well, it's 3,000 years ago.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get out of here, guys.
Yeah,
Have
All
a
right,
good night.
Drew.
Nice
Appreciate you,
meeting
man.
everybody.
Great to
Appreciate
see you,
coming
man.
in.
It was nice
Yeah.
meeting you.
Nice meeting
Thank you.
everybody.
All right, Drew.
Yes. Take care.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's as much as we could agree on is we know that there was something there. We know they used something. We just don't know what it was. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where you go with that or how you continue that conversation, really, because we can just, put out examples like Magneticus has up here on the screen, or I don't know. It's really hard to do.
You either got to do it or don't do it. For me, it started with those rocks, and then somebody said, "Dude, you need to check out Coral Castle down in Florida." And then I was like looking at the rocks at Coral Castle, and they had the same white marks on them, and I'm like going, I wonder if he was hitting them with electricity because he had that big magneto on his place. The only difference was instead of being oriented this way, it was oriented that way. And what was he doing with the parts to 7 Model T Fords? And how did that tie into moving the big rocks around? So then you sit there and think, well, okay, what can we use in the car besides the motor? You know what I mean? What's in the car that could be used to move heavy blocks? Think of anything?
In a car to move heavy blocks,
Mm-hmm.
it may be the what do you call that? Oh my god!
What if you grab the drive line with a contraption like I got, right?
Yeah,
Has that
but
nice
something.
grip. Now you turn the drive line,
yeah. You
and
could
now
use it.
you connect a rope to your tire
You could
turning on
use
the
it.
end.
You could use a gearbox and some gearing, and
Exactly.
you can lift quite a lot of weight.
Exactly.
Yeah, or
Exactly.
the I'm not thinking of the name of it. The thing that transfers power on the transmission.
Transmission.
No,
That's a
not that.
gearbox.
No,
The pumpkin on the rear end.
the donuts. Yeah, the oh my god. I know the name of it, and I'm just not thinking
The
of it.
donuts. The clutch.
No, the it goes between the transmission and the engine.
Oh, the torque converter.
Torque converter. Yes, yes, torque
There you
converter.
go. Torque converter. Yeah, if you get a whole bunch of mass out here on the ends. See, like if I was to take cement, lay this out on the flat ground, right? I could fill these triangles with cement, right? And now it's going to put all the weight out here on the outside edge. And there's going to be next to no weight in the center of it. And if I didn't have it all precariously purged, I could flip over the thing and you could see the bottom of the bottle that I get to spin on that. I actually cut the glass with nothing more than that copper pipe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just being able to transfer the power, almost like a pulley system, I guess, is something similar to that. That kind of acts as a torque.
Well, that's
converter.
how the torque converter works, is because all the weight is on the outside. And then the fan blades, well, they're not really fan blades, but they're like blades inside the torque converter, converts the liquid spinning, transmission fluid spinning, into driving the other shaft. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. It does. It does. It does. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, if humans were doing the work, is we're kind of theorizing, but maybe it was extraterrestrial. But if we left it to humans, they would need some sort of assistance of the nature we're talking about, something like a pulley system, torque converter, just something that made the lift not as difficult. And there's ways that you just explained that can be manufactured out of pretty much nothing, just some ropes and pulleys, really, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's like I said, after, for me, it was like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and there's Devil's Tower sitting right there, and that's how it was for me. So, and it's just that periodically I'll be sitting here and I'll just be like stuck like I am right now. You know what I mean? Haven't made a video in over a month, because it's just like, well, between my neck and back hurting, I got that going on, and then trying to do this. And the idea that I messed up my compass rose is kind of like frustrating, because I know I got to like pretty much all that just turned into firewood. This one right here.
Wow.
This one right here is about to be firewood, because I made it too small. Because when I made this one, because I showed you how all the pieces interlock, you know what I mean? But when I did this one, my points aren't very long, and I don't know if you've ever tried to bend a 2x4, but I've already busted one of them somewhere around here. So I'm kind of like not really wanting to walk on it, but I know I can walk on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though I'm just sitting on the 4 cement blocks out here, and I know we're not supposed to talk about religion, but Boaz and Joaquin keeps coming up and for me lately. The left bronze tower and the right bronze, whatever you want to call it.
It's all
on
good.
The temple.
It's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think we kind of pretty much nailed it down. I mean, as far we're still at, we're essentially still where we were, obviously, when it comes to guessing what they were doing back in those days.
There is one way they could have done it. They could have built multiple molds, filled in these molds, and just put them in place, just like a mass production company does.
Yep.
Okay.
Do that one.
That's easier to do. I mean, you can stack these as you fill each layer to not even have that much weight. You just have to have the epoxy or the filling. It's just kind of like filling in cement.
And so, what would be molded? So they
probably figured out how to get it to that state of liquid.
So you take a woven fabric, which I don't know how long that came along. You know what I mean? How long before we figured out how to weave fabric? You know, that would cause definitely, if you poured stones, that would cause the bulging. If you had like frames like this holding, you know, just kind of shored together wherever as you poured in, you put something like, you know, the cloth in hot wax, you know what I mean? And it'll become water barriers. So when you pour concrete in there, ain't gonna pour through the cloth. You know, there's all sorts of ways to do it. It's just, and you can see the different methods at the different building sites, you know. Not everybody uses cinder blocks, you know what I mean?
So let
I
me
mean,
ask you this.
huh?
So with that being said, right? So okay, we had these awesome tools in place. We achieved building the pyramid. That was awesome, great accomplishment. Okay, so you would figure that things would progress from there. That we would go to a point then from there where we were doing even more awesome things or building more awesome things. You would think so, because that's the nature of humans. What Joe Rogan says is we build better things. That's essentially what we're doing right now. We're just trying to build the next thing better. And so, if that's the case, then what happened in this instant, right? So we got to a point to where we figured out how to do this. Whatever method was used, pulleys or molds, whatever was used, we went ahead and built these megalithic structures. And then what happened though? But that's kind of where I wanted, like, then what happened after that? Like, why would that just stop that innovation in the arc of progress technologically? Why would that have all of a sudden ceased? You know what I mean? That's the thing that is bug, because
Can I ask you a quick question?
sure.
So when, you know, we watch the television and they're talking about pyramid builders, right? How come they always show people pulling the ropes? You never see a baby elephant pulling the rope like the circus.
Right.
I mean, seriously, how come they never tried to harness up a elephant? You know what I mean? I've seen a 120-pound pit bull pull 6,000 pounds. So, you know, what could a baby elephant do? You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
To me, I mean, I don't want to be like the Debbie Downer, but to me, it just seems like they just got bored and got tired of it and moved on to something better, like you said. I think they figured
exactly.
out. They probably just moved on. I mean, we do it
now
all
we
the
play
time.
around with microcontrollers, you know, and
We used
I
to
mean,
have
if it wasn't-
like things on the back of our TVs that people don't even, hunchbacks on the back of our TV. Now we're just switching it over for every year we get a new TV and it's better than the last one. We get bored of the older one and then we just
mine's
forget
like
about the
older
last
than
one.
dirt.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
mine too.
maybe they achieved this huge accomplishment of building these megalithic structures and was like, man, that is awesome. We're done. Let's move on and do something else.
Yeah, they probably built something and they probably got curious about traveling more because there was more land.
So
know?
if you were
So
to
they're probably
build
trying to
something
experiment. I mean, trying to explore.
under that theory right there, if you looked around the world, what do you think that next thing would have been? The next thing to accomplish, or after the pyramid? So they built that. They're like, man, this shit is awesome. Dude, okay, now let's go do something else. What do you think that that next thing would have been?
You find after you're done digging the oil well, you get you a whole harem of women,
I think we're
and
there.
then you get to see.
Don't you
Then
think?
you get to see all the different combinations of what your seed looks like, or your fertilizer looks like, with the different seeds out there.
Yeah,
What do you think of
We
that?
found out there was a limit to how much space we have in terms of how big the Earth is. We map it all out, figured out that it wasn't flat, figured out that it was, round or sphere.
Right.
And then we paused, said, what do we do now? We started building technological things, building civilizations in certain areas. People developed different things. We started trading. You kind of build, you can go off of all that stuff. And then next thing you know, we got Elon Musk trying to take us to space and colonize Mars.
One, I could see that, man. I could understand that and see how you're laying that out. I could appreciate that too.
I mean,
But
have
I
you
would think
seen Shogun?
Shogun.
It's
No,
a
is
TV
that a movie?
series.
No,
It's a TV series. You can watch it on Hulu. This is when the Spaniards and the Portuguese were basically trying to split the world in half. They knew that the world was round already, but they were trying to colonize Japan. They already had China, and they were trying to spread all this movement. So they had this agreement that on this side of the world, our side, in the Americas, it would belong to the Spaniards, while the other half belonged to, I mean, no, sorry, backwards. Spaniards belonged to where the Asians are, and then the Portuguese to this side. But then there was a lot of like trading because all these people didn't know about different places in the world. So Japan was under the influence that there was only a couple places. People didn't know that Japan was even around, but they heard talk about it. So this is going on between like Britain trying to spread religion, Christianity. So while they're trying to they were trying to split the world into Catholics, into people who believe in, you know, the Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's certain regions where people speak Portuguese, not Spanish, because when the Spanish first came over to Brazil, that side of the world, they basically came and tried to torture them and enslave them, while the Portuguese tried a different route and tried to be nice to them. That's why they speak Portuguese in Brazil, because it's a different tactics of approach.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. And I want to look at this here. Tower of Babel here.
Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Tower of Babel.
Okay, so that was. Just want to see the time frame. Zaddy's asking if that was prior to the pyramids. Let me see.
See, that's what I wonder about too, is with the Corona motors. You know, that you take your kite and you fly it up with a wire, and you can run the motor down on the ground because of the charge up in the sky. And that would make sense, putting the gold cap on a pyramid. The limestone would explain all the missing bodies.
Isn't the Tower of Babel like something to do with like myth?
I think what happened is they kept building it higher and higher, and then it came to the point where the pressure became so great it just liquefied the stones.
Yeah, but it's not real.
A physical place.
It's not a physical place. It's like, I think it's in the book of Genesis.
But in reality, you build a building too tall, it will actually melt the foundation from the weight sitting on it. That's what gave me the idea of making this, to drill holes in things, is I could put all that weight and concentrate all that energy into one little focused little spot, and it works its way through the cement, which the iron oxide I use for an abrasive is heavier than the cement. And if you ever played rock, paper, scissors, you know the rock is usually heavier than the scissors, and the scissors are heavier than the paper.
Yeah, and this is the Tower of Babel here, and yeah, I mean it's definitely says it's listed in the book of Genesis, and more mythological than anything. But you know, do we have evidence that this ever existed? I don't know if we have anything concrete. I'd have to do more research on this myself, but
it does look like the Colosseum.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it looks like other large structures that were built. Is it possible this could have been built?
Yeah, but where's that image from?
Why
That's
not?
a painting?
Yeah, this is a painting, yeah, from the
Yeah, but I'm saying, when was the painting made?
15th century, I believe.
Okay.
Hundreds, yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be like, what, 6,000 years after it happened or something? I don't know. I mean, I don't know when Genesis was actually conceived, so
Yeah,
I just know.
Well, we can say, you know, if the pyramids are supposedly, and that's another area of, you know, confusion, is when they were actually built. Some people say few thousand years ago. Some people say like 50,000 years ago. There's different, you know, but you just look at building techniques, and this does kind of remind me more of like that Roman era, right? Potentially.
And 1500s would be more of a Catholic Roman, you know, I don't know. That's one of the things I struggled with religion, was like, somebody I know went to the Episcopalian church, and in their books it says one church holy and one church Catholic. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean, but that's what the book said. So,
Now
you know,
you got me there. I really couldn't say.
I couldn't either. I'm not Catholic or Episcopalian, so
I am not going to go into religion on here.
Yeah, because religion we could go down.
Well, that's what I'm saying is it's stuff like that. That's why you don't want to touch the stuff. It's like, it's, yeah. Well, you know me, I just use it for references of different things, but yeah,
It
I don't
doesn't
go
say
into
when
it
it's
too much.
built
Well, I know it doesn't say when it was built.
Yeah,
because I believe it was.
I mean,
built.
I read Bibles and people are like, why do you laugh at the first line of a Bible? And I said, because in man's book it says, in the beginning God created. Like he didn't know what to describe it, so he just called it God. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's something. Yeah, we can go into. I mean,
I
it
saw the light.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely something that created everything that we know, and whatever you want to call that is whatever you can call it. You can call it God. You can call it source. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It could be an actual person. It could be
But,
not.
I mean,
It could
it's
be.
pretty vague when you kind of say in the beginning God created, but you also have to go a little bit further, the heavens and the earth,
Mhm.
and then also say
Well,
that you have to also explain that
I'm
the
just
earth was
saying.
without form. Which
I'm just
if you
saying, for
actually,
me, it's funny because in the beginning of man's book, it says God was created or God created. So that let me know that man's mental function said we need to create something because we don't know where we came from. All of a sudden, we were just here, crawled out of the hole, and here we were.
well, that's what the Big Bang Theory is.
Yeah, and the Big Bang Theory is something it's another thing that I don't really get down with. That whole idea of how that happened. There's too many questions to ask to just go with something that was written in a book. And here's what I'll say: I'm definitely come from a religious background, but I don't go to the Bible and look at the Bible as like a historical record of factual events. I look at the Bible more as like a metaphorical sort of.
Right.
Uh,
It's not like you go. It's like when you read poems, you read it as a poem. You don't read it as a scientific. Like you don't read it like you would like a science book.
right. So and I'm with you there, and then so yeah, so it's really hard to say. We can go back to the
You read
origin
it in context. You read
to
it in
the
context, basically. What you mean?
yeah, definitely, and so we can get to, I think the Noah's Ark was a metaphor for us coming here from somewhere else. Just how I feel. It just makes sense that we came and seeded this planet because when we look at the planet as it is, like we talked about before, it just seems like we don't belong to this planet. Like we're not matched to this planet for whatever reason. It doesn't feel that way, and we do a lot of things that go against the uh against that being the case. And let me address this real quick here. Yeah, Zaddy, I want to know if when you go over to spaced out radio, Zaddy, what happens? Let me know what happens. Is it possible that you're under a different username there? Because I can go in there at any time. I can go in there now and make sure that you don't have a different username that's being blocked over there. But I know President Zaddy, as it is spelled here on the screen, is not listed anywhere as being blocked on that channel. Your chat doesn't appear. Okay. So maybe what I should do is maybe I can add you to the block list and then take
Try
you
to delete them.
yeah, add you to the block list and then take you off of the block list. That might toggle something because maybe you were at one point in time on that list, but your name doesn't appear there now. So I figure maybe if I add you to the list and then take you off, then that might fix it. So come by tomorrow to the show, Zaddy. I'll do that after we finish up tonight. I'm gonna add you to that list and then remove you from it, and then we'll see if you can join the chat. So stay tapped in with me on that because I want to make sure that you are. Yeah, if it's hidden, I should be able to see it. Like I have full access to the back end of Spaced Out Radio, so I have any access that Dave has there. I have too. So I'll check on that for you, Zaddy. Because we miss you in the chat, man. We need to have that. We need to have that fu back in the chat, man. So
Did
Yeah.
he got put on timeout?
so you could keep it lit.
Something happened.
Yeah,
Or he's just pulling our chain, one of the two.
I do recall that incident, Tomato man. That's why I went in and checked because I remembered that, and but I can tell you that his name wasn't listed there. But I think the workaround for that is me adding him to the list and then removing him because I think if he was stuck in there somehow, that
He's in
should
purgatory.
yeah.
That's what happens.
You know what I got a message the other day about from YouTube Studio? Something
What's
about
that?
robot counts or something being removed or something.
Oh, I got the
And then
same message too.
I noticed my subscription numbers went down.
Yeah, they
Same.
do that. They do audits on accounts. And it's no science to it. It's still automated. I think it's not
It's
a
just-
real person doing
Do you
it.
remember the fruit bots? Were you doing this during the fruit bots?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, they always had a picture of a fruit. It was like a kiwi or a banana or an apple or something. It was always fruit. It was always
That's
fruit,
awesome.
and they'd add these like really weird comments to your videos. And yeah, but they always had a fruit in them. So we called them the fruit bots.
Yeah,
Because
I just
Clever.
what they do is they go in and they check for accounts that don't have a lot of activity on them, and then they think
Right.
maybe those are bot accounts and they remove them.
I
Erroneous.
know a lot of my comments disappear too sometimes. They just like up and vanish.
That's why
I
you
don't
have
know.
people that come on and say, "Hey, I was unsubscribed. I checked. I didn't unsubscribe, but someone unsubscribed me." That's the reason why,
Yeah.
because they run them
And it's
audits.
happened to me too, where I've been following people. Next thing you know, I'm not getting any of their notifications. And I go,
But you go to
what?
the
I
channel
never
and there's all
unsubscribed.
sorts of activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has something to do with the spamming. If they think you're spamming any kind of word or anything that could trigger their algorithm,
Moist. The
they're kinda,
Xbots love moist. Or legs. Feet. You talking about feet? You can talk about feet.
it could be the smallest thing too. That
And the
could be
Xbox,
cheeky being
the
fake.
Xbox will go nuts.
And look, this is how we'll segue it back. President Zaddy says a lot of guys I will sub to just lost their channels because of fake subs. But the beautiful thing is here is that we don't have fake subs here at the Social Dig. Everybody here, which I'm proud of actually, are people that want to engage with the content, who have the same outlook on humanity and where we're going. And it's beautiful. That's why I celebrated 500 subs. I celebrated that because it's 500 real people
You got some faithfuls.
that feel like the needle needs to be moved and that these conversations need to be had. And the evidence of that is to have a channel with only a little over 500 subs. The engagement is 100 and 150 100 200 sometimes views per video, which says that the people in 90% roughly of those subscribed view the content. That's what you want. You know what I mean? You want that sort of situation where the people that have subscribed engage with what it is that you're doing. We're not just coming here to do whatever. We're coming here to really have conversations that move the needle. And I'm actually proud of that. So I want to go ahead and just give everybody here a round of applause because you guys are just awesome. And
Hey, I like talking to people who are like-minded and who can also do the pushing back too.
exactly. And it's just something that people, descendants, your descendants, my descendants, the people that get to carry the torch later will all be proud and glad that we did what we did when we did it. So with that being said, guys, I'm about to go ahead and get ready to wrap this one up because I'm losing my voice and I still got to do the show tomorrow night. I think we had an awesome, strong conversation tonight, and I want to make sure we put a nice bow on that. So magnetic.
This Wednesday you're doing the Scientology one, right?
You calling me out, man. You got to call me out. I'm doing Scientology, Magneticus. Thing is that with the Social Dig, that show, right? It takes
Yeah.
much information that I have to put together, and I have to do the slides and all that things to make it cohesive and connect. And I want to make sure that I don't just do this show and kind of just not do it in that fashion. I want to make sure that the value is there.
You know, I'm just chomping at the bit waiting for you to do it. That's
I
all.
know you are, man, and I want to do it because I want to get it behind me. Truthfully,
It's only been like 6 months now. Part
It's-
one to
it's-
part
it's-
two.
and I'm gonna re-air part one actually because part two, just the topic. There's so many things that have happened within Scientology that you can't cover everything. You
I
can
wish I had
only,
the voltmeter set up so I could show you.
you can only cover the main parts of it, and then the rest of it is for your investigation. Or if we end up having guests on here that talk about Scientology, which I would love to do that too. Excuse me. But with that being said, yeah, I'm on hour 5 of hosting a show, so I'm gonna go ahead
I
and
completely forgot that about
wrap
you.
this one up. It's all
Yeah,
good.
you
though.
showed up late, Juanito.
Yeah, I
You
did.
showed
I
up
was watching.
late.
I didn't mean to show up late. I had the notification pop up, but I was watching UFC.
Yeah, I just appreciate you
Oh,
guys coming by.
sure.
I appreciate you guys coming by.
I was like, I had you guys over here onto the left of my screen, and then watching the fight on the right side of the screen. So I saw the chats going through.
Just know when we have these conversations, they're watching because they can't handle what we talk about over here. It gets serious, it gets deep, just like the conversation we had tonight, the
For sure.
after hours. If you missed that conversation, go to Spaced Out Radio, youtube.com/at Spaced Out Radio, and check out the show tonight. Another tough conversation. We'll continue to do those. We will. That's just what I do. I just can't help but do that. So that's what you'll get every time. Magneticus and Juan, thank you guys for coming
Of course.
on in. I appreciate you.
I have one more question.
Definitely.
Do you only do these on Saturdays, like Saturday into Sunday, or do you do them Sundays too?
You know, I was doing them both days. Right now, I'm just gonna do Saturday and Sunday because
Okay, cool.
I want to try to get those other shows that I'm doing like consistent. And then once I can get those consistent, then I'll probably add the Sundays to this show.
Okay.
But this is truthfully
Awesome.
like the least work has to go into this show. The real work has to go into the other shows.
Right.
But
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
keep doing
Awesome.
it.
Thank
man.
you.
Let's keep getting together, man. Appreciate you,
Of
Juan.
course.
Appreciate you, Magneticus.
Yes.
And I will
Appreciate
be
you guys
talking to
soon.
guys
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, chat. You guys have been awesome.
Yes, sir. Always.
All right. Take
Till
care, Rob.
next time.
You too. All right. This Area 51 says we brought the heat tonight, never to sleep. Right? That's his motto, and that's I like it, and that's what we'll run with, guys. It has been an awesome time here tonight. I also want to thank Ann Joanne once again for becoming a member here at the Social Dig. It's going to go towards something really good to help out the show. I'll go ahead and put that back on the screen because memberships are available. Just know that any super chats that you do, super thanks down the road, memberships will all go to making this the best product that it can be. And I want to make sure that we're up there with the Wi-Fi's and on a stage like that where we could talk to everyone at the same time and talk about the things that we talk about here at the Social Dig. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap this thing up. Let me go ahead and hop in the chat and thank everybody who came through tonight and had a good time with us tonight. That would be Woo Riders DG, President Zaddy in the building, Guardian Jackpot, appreciate you showing up. Let me get you guys all on screen here. Area 51, always the heat, never the sleep. Love it. Christine Lynn, thank you for coming in. We appreciate you. Nikki, Angels Are Life. She has an awesome YouTube channel as well. You guys go subscribe. Thanks for coming, Nikki. To Mothman saying, love you, Rob. Love you right back. To Mothman, we got more beers to talk over in the future. I said Christine Lynn. I may say your name twice. Don't worry about it. I just want to thank everyone. for coming in. Who else do we have here? Let me go back in the chat. I know Deb from SAC was here. We had Flat Six as well. Once again, and Joanne becoming a member, which is so awesome. We appreciate you. Jessica S coming through. Thanks for coming tonight. JSCO77, thank you. Ange, thank you for coming on in tonight. Join the show. Let's see, who else do we have? The Ferret, Richard Wilson as well. Thanks for coming in, Richard Wilson. Thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you showing up at the Social Dig tonight. Let's see, there's the Ferret right there. Ferret is definitely here. Let me go back. Mike Bothwell showed up tonight. Thanks, Mike Bothwell, for coming through. We appreciate you. Moving back. Joe Monk. Thanks for coming in, Joe Monk. Thanks for showing up tonight. We appreciate your support of the Social Dig. Let's see. Bomber, thanks for coming in. Thanks for showing up tonight. And let's go back. Lex Diaz, thank you for coming. Tim James, UFO Tim James, thanks for coming on in. Welcome to the show, Major League. Of course, Drew Banky as well, who joined us on stage. And who else do we have? Pancho Zort, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Let's see. We are moving back. Richard Minnick, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up tonight. And we are moving back. And we got ones for Billy Carson, just to remind everyone. So we'll try to reach out and make that happen. Lovey Love, Dr. Love, thanks for coming on in tonight. Little Cam 51 from Twitch, thanks for coming in. Kira I Am, thank you for coming in tonight. Just a lot of love from everybody. I do appreciate it. I think we got everybody there. Looks like it. Thank you, everybody, for coming into the Social Dig. It's been a pleasure. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. Remember, you can become a social soldier today. Don't hesitate in doing that. Help out the channel. You guys have a great rest of your night. And take care. See you at the after hours tomorrow. Later.